Divine Intimacy number 123, Supernatural Obedience. Presence of God. O Jesus, teach me to see only you in my superiors. Meditation 1. An excellent instruction from St. John of the Cross says, never look upon your superior, whoever he may be, with less regard than upon God himself. P. If we do not have this supernatural spirit which makes us see God in the person of our superior, our obedience cannot be supernatural. It is necessary to be animated by this motive alone. I obey because my superior represents God for me and speaks to me in his name. My superior is another Christ to me. Hic est Christus meus. This is my Christ. We should not obey through the motive of human confidence in the person of our superior, because he is intelligent, prudent, capable, because he understands or likes us, and so forth. That is human obedience, the fruit of human prudence, an act good in itself, but not supernatural. Neither should we obey because we are told to do so. Is the most perfect. Again, this is not the real reason for obedience. We must obey only because God wills whatever our superior commands. The one exception is an order involving sin, which of course God cannot want, or a command not conformable to the rule of or constitutions which we have embraced. In either case, obedience would be unlawful. Apart from these exceptions, no limit should be put to our obedience. We should not hesitate through fear that the superior is asking something less perfect, even if he commands what is objectively less perfect than its alternative. For instance, to take some rest instead of working. It would nevertheless be the more perfect thing for us. By the simple fact that the superior has expressed an order, it is clearly the fulfillment of that and not something else that God wants from us at the moment. It could very well be that in the abstract we see the possibility of performing an action more perfect than what we have been told to do, and that our idea is better than our superiors. But in reality, there is no doubt about it. Nothing can be more perfect for us than what God commands by means of our superior. Meditation 2. Since the motive of human confidence in our superior is a defective basis for our obedience, we must found it on supernatural confidence, on trust that springs from the recognition of the divine government working through the superiors God has given us. Even if our superiors were less upright or less virtuous, we would have no reason to fear. Faith teaches us that God controls and rules everything, and that no human will can escape his divine dominion. Let us suppose that our superior is wrong and orders us to do something either good in itself or indifferent from a less upright motive. God always knows how to make use of him for the benefit of our soul. Even his imperfect intentions are utilized by God to make us do what he wants of us. This is certain. God directs us by means of our superiors, and they are not independent of him. He uses them as instruments which he employs at his pleasure. Hence, we must have recourse to our superior with confidence, since through him we contact God, and we are obeying God when we obey him. Such obedience is entirely supernatural and places us in direct contact with the divine will. By acting otherwise, St. John of the Cross warns us, you would do yourself the immense harm of lowering your obedience from the divine plane to the human, and your obedience will be all the more vain and sterile, the more you feel irritated at the hostile attitude of your superior, or more pleased with his easy or pleasant disposition. For I tell you that the devil has ruined the perfection of a great multitude of religious by causing them to consider these characteristics, and their obedience is of very little worth in the eyes of God, because they have considered these things and not paid sole respect to obedience. If you want your obedience to have full value, fasten your glance only on God, whom you are serving in your superior. P, 12. Colloquy. O Lord, increase my spirit of faith, so that I will see you in the soul of my superior. May I repeat spontaneously and sincerely in his presence, Hic est Christus meus. Only by this way of obedience will a life of continual contact and uninterrupted intimacy with you be possible. If I find you present and living in the sacrament of the altar, under the veil of the Eucharistic species, always ready to welcome and nourish my soul, I can also, but in a different way, find you hidden in the person of my superior, through whom you speak to me, always ready to disperse my doubts, to manifest your holy will, and to direct and guide me along the road you have chosen from all eternity for my sanctification. O Lord, why should I stop at the human appearances of my superiors? Such an attitude will only serve to keep me from finding you in them, in recognizing your will in theirs. Help me, O God, to pass over all the human aspects of obedience, and to put myself in contact with you in your divine will. Just as in the Eucharist I do not halt at the created species of bread and wine, so I ought not in obeying to consider the person of my superior, but only your will, which reaches me under the appearance of a human order or command. O Jesus, what a great mystery! The Eucharist gives me your body, your blood, your divinity. Such is the power of the sacrament which you have instituted. Obedience gives me your will and makes me communicate with it. Such is the power of the authority which you have established. Once I have understood this profound truth, how can I still dare to argue or hesitate at the commands of my superiors? It would be a terrible thing if God were to be telling us plainly to go about his business in some way, and we would not do it, but stood looking at him because that gave us greater pleasure. A fine way it is of advancing in the love of God to tie his hands by thinking that there is only one way in which he can benefit us. TJF, 5. No, Lord, grant that I may never act thus. I shall follow you wherever you lead me by means of holy obedience. End of number 123, Supernatural Obedience.